All right, gang. Let's take a look at Atlanta campaign from Lock and Load Publishing. Dean Lowry game. This is part of the War Diary, the War Gaming Journal. All right, so this is Sherman pushing to Atlanta. And I'm playing with the base rules, and it's pretty much the entire month of May. You can't see it up on the chart up there. Let's see. I'm going to raise it up here. Naturally, I'm going to go the wrong way. Y'all know that ritual. So we're playing up here on this chart up here. And we've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're getting ready to start our 7th game turn. All right. Now, so this game, the basic rules are very simple. All right. So your supply works, your rail lines back to your map edges, which the rail line or the supply for the Union is right over here on the, which you can't see me tapping there either, but it's over down this rail line through Chattanooga, okay, and off the map. And you would think going up north would be the same thing. The Confederates are any one of these ones down here in the south, but they're way down at the back end of the map, down below Atlanta. Now, how supply works in this game is you've got these units here that are supply, these empty boxes on wheels. So, you have to be within range, your movement range, which most of these units are 3s, cavalry might be 6s or 4s, to a rail line that's completely connected back to your supply source. Or you can be within your range to a supply unit, and the supply unit has to be within 2 movement points of a rail line that's connected all the way back. All right. So really no issues up front. All right. Now for combat, of course you got to make sure you're in supply for combat. So you have these interesting rules in combat. You have forts, and then you have a fort counter. All right. There's a fort counter. That covers all 6 hex sides. All right. And then you have a fortification. That's like a breastwork, which covers your 3 facing hexes. All right. So a unit like this engineer unit right here, his zone of control is his 3 frontal hex sides. These are not zone of control, so enemy units can move all day long around behind those. Now, this has got an interesting little combat concept to it. So, where this Union unit is right here was a Confederate fortification. And these units underneath here, they were in there. So the fort covered all 6 hex sides, so that's doubled. However, they were facing this way. And this Union unit got into his non-zone of control hex, which which cut the unit in half, regardless of being in a fort or not. And then you double. And if the fort is in a mountain hex side, you can double and double again for the terrain. So you can double for the fort and double for the terrain. Now the fortifications, they were in a fortification, not a fort. And they were attacking the flank. So fortification, if you got a fortification sitting on the map and a unit's in it, and it's facing it, the fortification has zones of control, so to speak, just like a unit facing front 3. So if you attack from here into that unit that's in that fortification, you cancel out that fortification. All right? Kind of like I remember Terrible Swift Sword, if you're firing into the rear of a breastwork hex, the breastwork hex has no effect. All right, so how's this game proceeded? Okay, so as typical, Sherman's boys were marching using the rail lines as their main avenues of approach so they can keep their supply. And they got to. It's really because you get off to these sides here. Now, cavalry is, as long as cavalry doesn't get surrounded, they are always in supply. So this game will promote the use of maneuvering your cavalry because cavalry can cut off supply lines and can cut off, supply, we'll just say your lines of communication, so to speak, which is what I'm attempting to do here. They took an exchange with a cavalry unit that was sitting here by itself, but now they've got more units in there. And the Confederates have Polk coming in with more units here. So at the start of it, the Union pushed back, I think, a cavalry unit that was sitting up here by itself. They didn't destroy it, but they did push it back. And then they had a lot of their troops were sitting over in here, so they had to move them back across, which takes time because these infantry only have 3 movement points. And to cross a creek is 3 or plus 2, and then you're going into a clear. And you know what? Let me make sure of that. Yeah, see, cost infantry engineers two movement factors to cross. So I figured it was 2 to cross and then 1 to get into the clear. So that was all 3 of their movement points. And I think one of them was starting here, so he wasn't going to get anywhere. All right, so eventually we shifted the favor, thought about attacking. This stack here was sitting in this fort. Well, that stack totaled up to 72 defense factors. I don't have enough Union forces on the board to get to that, so you got to outmaneuver them. So what we've done now is we shifted troops over here. There's 3 9 strength units. That's all they can stack there. I think you can stack up to 30 points, 30 brigade equivalents, and a corps is the equivalent of 9 brigades. So these 2 stacks attacked this unit that was sitting here, and they did drive them out. So now the game has changed a little bit. This stack here had to pull out of this fort and back up 1 so that they could all maintain they're in supply because of the rail line. But what I did was I cut this rail line right here so that it would give them, the Union would have something they'd have to rebuild to fix their supply line, which is pretty routine for them. They get 1 rail line each turn for free to rebuild. So when that supply unit moves forward, because there's no markers that I don't think there's any. You've got pontoon bridge markers and you got break in the track markers, but you don't have any rail line progression markers. It's just your supply vehicles do that. So, all right. Well, so the first 2 objectives of this is taking Atlanta, being in control. Another one is driving all the Confederates off the map. Well, this is a short scenario and ends at the end of May here, so that's not gonna that's really not an option. The third one is to drive all the Confederates, which you can't see it. Well, yeah, below this hex row. So, yeah, below this hex row W, or hex column, or whatever W. So the Union's got some work to do. I don't honestly, for 1 month, I don't think that's feasible. I will say that I think the scenario victory conditions might need to be revisited for the non-campaign versions. I think that the third one is the only one you're going to enact in this scenario, and I don't even see how they're going to do that. You'd have to win everything and cause the Confederates. But the way the Confederates can build forts and break railroads, I can't see how the Union do it. Because I'm pretty sure that Sherman and his boys just didn't sprint down to Atlanta and it was over in a month. So you want a simple I go, you go type game for the base rules, where one moves and does his combat, and then the other guy goes and does his combat, and there's probably a couple of administrative turns in there. This one's pretty simple. The Confederates are definitely no pushover, and from the start you will have to use maneuver to outwork them. Depending on how the Confederates stack up in their defensive positions, the Union does have the manpower to attain one really good attack and maybe dwindle the Confederates down. But it just depends on how and where the Confederates are in forts and how they can stack their units in there for defensive purposes. Because if you get like 3 5s and a mountain hex in a fort, my God, they're going to be doubled and then doubled again. And trying to outflank them, it's very, very slow because of the movement rate of units. So if you can get cavalry in a position to get on the flank of a unit that you're attacking and then hit him in the face with all the infantry you can get, that could help. Like this unit now is in that fort, but now the Union could get units on 3 sides of it. But I'll tell you right this, I did the numbers on this stack and the numbers on this stack, and when they were sitting in that fort right there, I still didn't have enough to get, the best I could get was 1 to 2 odds. So, all right, so that's what I say, 5, 6 turns in, we're going to start 7 turn. So this is the Atlanta campaign. Easy to play. I haven't gotten to the advanced rules. I ordered the cards. I ordered the pre-made cards, the laminated or whatever cards from was it War Game Vault, I think. Probably be a week or 2 before those get here, because I think they make them for you as they're ordered. So 3 maps. They line up side by side, nice and neat. The map's not over inundated with terrain features. It's simple. I'm an earthy color guy, so these tans and the earthy color blues work for me. big-ass game turn record. Goes all the way through to freaking October. All right. So, but easy to play. So far through 6 turns, like it's not, the Union's not rushing down that rail line, and the Confederates can be pretty staunch in their defense there. We just have to see how the Union's able to push. They get a little bit more reinforcements. They get one fairly strong unit. The Confederates have a couple of mobile units coming in, or cavalry, and then some small infantry units. But so far, so good. For a very easy to play basic game. I would imagine that the advanced rules would add a little more pizzazz to it. And so far, right now, the only, and I could be wrong, but this is sort of, my sort of pre-thoughts on the game. The only thing that's kind of stagnant to me a little bit is the scenario victory conditions. I don't think they were thought out very good, because there's no way in a month that this Union force is going to Atlanta. Because, look, you're on the first map up here. Atlanta's a little more than halfway beyond the middle part of the third map. I can't see how they're going to get there. So, and as far as driving the Confederates off the map, that's not going to happen. So I think those probably, I haven't looked at the other scenario victory conditions yet, but I'm not going to lie. It's a good looking game. The counters are very, very nice. And I've been glancing at the advanced rules. They look really, really good too. But the victory conditions in this, for the first scenario, the first 2 victory conditions, they are not attainable. Not in the slightest. Unless I'm just completely don't understand English, it's just not going to happen. I think those need to be revisited. Because the first scenario, the name of it is, let's see, it's called, hold on, I'm getting there. Hang in there. It's called Rocky Face Ridge, from 7 to 31 May. So we're into the 7th turn, and the Union is going from here to here. So I can't see in 8 more turns how they're going to go from here to pushing the Confederates beyond this hex row down here. Could be wrong, but I just don't see it. All right, but let's get this thing posted, because it is kind of fun to play. It's very simple to play, very easy. The rules are very easy. Supplies very easy. Forts are very easy. Movements very easy. Combat's very easy. Another thing about saying combat, you have to attack everything that's adjacent, one way or another. If you decide to attack, you have to attack everything that's adjacent. All right, let's get this up so y'all can see what's going on.